on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Sporting Cast podcast. I'm your host, Lucas Red. We are live for another in-session podcast in Coach Kepin's basement, episode 7. Make sure you tune in and watch that one on his legendary coaching career. Today's episode brings Futsum Zeinasellassie, arguably the greatest Indiana runner of all time, a 7-time state champion in high school, a 6-time All-American in Northern Arizona, and now a professional runner that has had 3 professional career wins. Futsum, first off, thank you for joining, bro. Appreciate you. What's going on in life? How's running? How's the family? And what's next on the slate this weekend?
Hey man, thanks for that nice introduction. Now I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be back in Indiana. It's been a little over a year since we moved here with my family from Flagstaff. So just really enjoying the sea level and high altitude training, but really happy to just be very close to family. I've got 2 boys, and they get to grow up with family members that are about their age, and obviously both their grandparents on both sides. So we're just really happy to be back in Indy, and in general life is good. So yeah.
So what do you miss most about Flagstaff?
I would say the endless trails, and obviously other pro runners too. Not that there isn't professional runners here in Indy, but theirs is the mecca of like running in the US. So you've got everybody. You've got people coming from like international from any other countries in the winter or in the summer. So just seeing a bunch of really fast runners. I guess it's something that I miss about Flagstaff.
And so just being back in Indiana, I think recently you were back in Eritrea for a little bit for the first time in a while. Is that true? Were you training out there or seeing family?
Yeah, no, that has been the change to the sea level and high altitude training. What we're doing right now is whenever I'm getting ready for a marathon race, so anywhere between 8 to 12 weeks. So the last 2 marathons that I did since moving back to Indy, the CIM US champ, and I just got done. I just raced the Paris marathon, which didn't really go as well as I wanted to go. But for those 2 races, I was in Eritrea training for preparing for both of them.
So last June, so earlier this month, you went second at the Chicago Half Marathon in just over 61 minutes. How did that feel, and what's the momentum carrying on for Boston 10K this weekend?
Yeah, no, I was actually we just briefly mentioned Paris Marathon. I honestly thought I was very fit, but I was having a lot of hamstring issue even during my build. So I wasn't as sharp as I wanted to be, and I wasn't able to do any of the races that I had planned before that race. So wasn't quite on a race fit for Paris. So, but given that there was some hiccups in my training, we continued to train when I got back here, and just that showed that in Chicago, I think if I was 100% healthy, I would have ready to race at the time that I was the time goal that I had at Paris. So it's good to see coming back from that and to be able to run a time that's very close to, that was the second fastest time for me in the half marathon. So we did it in a race that's Chicago can be hot and humid, and it was hot, and didn't really have that strong pack you would have in any fast races to run a PB. So I did a good amount of work in that race. So that just makes me think if I was in a race where if there's a pack of guys to push the pace, I think I'm very close to my personal time. So that's pretty exciting, and I don't really feel like it feels like I'm the training is not quite at its peak yet. I'm doing training that I feel like, oh man, I can do this for the next 6 months. So that means I'm just starting. So which excites me for the other races I've got planned this summer, starting Sunday, Boston 10K. But I think that's gonna be quite fast for marathon legs. But I'm still excited about being part of that field, to go to Boston and compete with some of the fastest 10K half marathon runner. But this is more for me to have more competitions under my legs, because I've got big plans for later in the fall. So very excited.
Because you've already qualified for the Olympic trials for the 2028 Olympics. It's a build up, and like you said, it's not something that comes overnight. You're got 6 months to a years of training just for the most important races. How do you kind of stay on task of not trying to get too caught up in the moment, but knowing that there's bigger things down the road?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, especially right now in my career, 2028 Olympic trials is the main goal. I mean, I'm putting everything, um, you know, toward that goal. But there's more. There's other things that excites me, and that's like, I think my potential in the marathon, especially from time, I'm not quite what I believe I can run. So that's a huge goal. I mean, I think as soon as if I achieve that, and then I'm gonna recover and refocus for the trials. But that's honestly, no, I'm not really thinking about the trials at the moment. Well, I guess I am thinking about it in a way where, like every race I'm choosing, has to do, with the end goal. Yeah, 2028 is like right now, the marathon that I've got planned this later this fall is, either for time, or maybe go to those other major races and learn how to compete without pacer. Because pretty much, the trials, there's no pacers, and at least you have to have the time as well to be able to qualify for the Olympic. Like I'm qualified for the Olympic trial, but the Olympic time is 2:06, so that's a big goal as well. So, which I would like to achieve.
Yes.
Sometime soon. So.
Hey, I like that 2:05:59 or anything faster than that.
Yes,
we'll be feeling good there. No, so your journey with running has been not only just impressive to me, but so many people. For me, growing up, being about 8 to 10 years younger than you, being from Indiana, kind of knowing the legendary status that you were in high school, you carry that into college, which we'll get into. But now you've been running for a long time professionally as well. So you've had this 15-year plus stretch, almost 20 years now, of running at a very high level, and it's something that a lot of people I think struggle with the longevity in the sport. But I think you've done a very good job at finding your craft and being relevant, competitive, however you want to say that. Is there a secret sauce that you've used through that time, or is it just kind of one thing or another, just going out and running fast times?
Well, just hearing you throw those numbers not maybe quite good for marketing. I was that old.
We'll edit that out.
No, we're good. I mean, yeah, I think about that sometimes as well. And what I can really think about is I mean, I look running more like as a lifestyle. I really, I'm not gonna lie. There's days where I might not enjoy it, but for most part, I really enjoy training. Probably even I enjoy more training than I do racing. But yeah, I mean, I'm just grateful to be. And the other thing is, I haven't thought about it much, but to be able to be healthy, that's something that I've got to be grateful for, because that can be part of the reason for a lot of athletes, that might not just leave running, or competing at that elite level, way earlier than we expect. So to just be healthy, to view running as a lifestyle, and I really enjoy the training of it. And I think I've spoke about this many times, about really enjoying running for that. It's, Eliud Kipchoge talks a lot about this, and he probably does a lot of better job than I do. But like, I really enjoy those days when you're out there clicking, about 6:20, 6:30 pace per mile, and it just feels smooth. Everything clicks. Your mind is just wandering somewhere, and you just done the, you finished the run feeling like, maybe, like with an hour massage or something like that. You see what I'm saying? Like mentally, it just feels good, mentally and physically. So, and I have a lot of those days. So I really enjoy that about the sport. So I think, running is a very healthy sport. Especially, you don't overdo it. Knock on wood, you stay healthy. Uh, it's good for the mind. So yeah.
So you can lie about this for marketing reasons, but how old are you now?
I'm 34, man.
34? Okay,
Yeah.
so what would 34-year-old Futsum tell 18-year-old Futsum or any other high school athlete for that matter trying to achieve the next stage of running?
Believe it or not, I mean, time has changed, but maybe it would happen the other way. I think when I was 18, I really enjoyed just the fun of really training really hard and just competing without, not that I have a lot of pressure now, but at 34, maybe I feel a lot more pressure. Like, and part of it can be because I've had like goals that I want to achieve. It can be time, it can be making the Olympic team and didn't really quite achieve those goals. So those now you feel a little bit more pressure, or just I think time has changed where now there's I'm not gonna blame social media and things like that, but just the desire to perform has changed. Where I think when I was 18, it was all about I don't know, you train really really hard and you go compete. I don't know. That's how I used to feel, I think, but now there's a little bit more pressure, and I think that comes sometimes from family as well. It's not a lot, but like I spend a lot of time training, sleeping, trying to recover, and that takes a lot of time away from my wife and my kids. And I feel like selfish at times. Like I'm spending all this time away from them, and if I don't quite achieve the goal that I want to achieve, the pressure. You're like the pressure comes now. Like I have to perform. Because I'm spending all this time away from families, and I'm sure that there was days for you even like you know not that you're missing Christmas or like something big event in the family, but you still have to go. You have to do your training, or maybe you're going to bed early because you've got goals, and running. So you're missing those events. So I think that's where the pressure comes from, like just missing a lot of events and like family and other people that I really care about. So that makes me feel like I have to perform. So it's just the other way. It's not the 34 years old me. It's the 18 years old me. I have to. It has to give advice to me where like, hey man, like I know, but still enjoy really the fun of the sport, which is to train really hard, and to just go and compete. Is that making sense?
No, it's good. It's fun.
So,
I don't know if I've ever heard anyone say, I'd rather have my 18-year-old self give 34-year-old self advice, but it's fitting though. It's fitting in your sense because a lot of these guys, they're done running. Most of them in high school. The next majority of them by 22 and college is over, like myself. But then you have that elite group like you and other great runners that who knows when their career ends, right? It could be 1 or 2 years of pro running, or it could be somewhere into their upper 30s. So it's different to hear someone say something different, but it's hard probably. Like you said, you've been doing it for a while, and you need to remind yourself that you got into this because you enjoyed it.
Yes. And I think when we're talking about being 18, there just wasn't the things that we valued. I think at that moment I really just look, man, and your family's supporting in a way like, hey man, go compete, go train, like from my family, my parents, like I think that was the type of attitude or mentality was. And I don't think there was a day that I can remember thinking like, man, I'm training too much, I need to spend time with my family, my parents. I don't know, like, but now maybe I'm a father, I'm a husband. So and I just know like with training and the amount of time it takes for me to trying to be as an elite as possible, to be ready for the competition that I'm getting ready, it takes a lot of time. So and me as a father wanting to just be and to spend more time with my kids. But I still gotta go train. I gotta go train and do this and that. So it's just and which adds to like now that I'm spending all this time away from them, like I want to be able to perform. So it adds a little bit more like pressure to that. Is yeah.
So here's a question for you.
Yeah.
You have two boys. Does your wife ever have to explain to your two boys that dad's taking a nap, but they can't take a nap because, if you take a nap during the day for the kids, it's hard to get them to fall asleep later in the day. But are you out? Do they ever complain like, "Why? Where's Dad? Why is he sleeping right now?"
You good?
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
Yeah. There was times where maybe like especially my oldest son, he probably wants me to take a nap so he can like go watch TV because he's way too much energy. He's jumping around and just making a lot of noise. So I think there has been more time where he's like, "Hey, Daddy, when are you gonna go to sleep?" So he can go watch TV. No, but I mean I think they do an amazing job, just really supporting me and just we've actually done a lot more better in some of really even connecting throughout the sports now, where especially our 3 years old son, he's not at daycare yet, he's young, so he comes to a lot of my training. He's at the track with us, or if I'm out at the trails, him and mommy, they're getting a walk in. So it's nice that lately we've been very collective, like
Yeah.
we're doing things together. So which was pretty fun, and that was a huge part of Chicago as well. Like it was a race that's so close to home, so we drove there, made it a trip out of it. So it was really fun having my kids and my wife out there as well.
So let's take a step back.
Yeah.
Airtree in the early 2000s. You moved to the United States. What was that experience like, and then how did you get into running from there?
I moved here in 2007, and I think I came right around at the end of my 7th grade. So I was there. I was at school at Northview Middle School for about maybe 2 months. And later that summer, I remember I was doing a lot of training in the back for soccer. Because that's the sport that I wanted to play. But I think maybe I missed the tryout or something. I don't know what exactly happened, but I do remember that the first 2-3 months of school, it was not easy. Not being able to communicate, not be able to speak the language. So that was really hard. And coming into my 8th grade, I don't know if I was if my gym teacher saw me when I was in 7th grade or in 8th grade, but he was the one who actually introduced me to run, like to cross country. He was the first one. I've spoken about this before. He was the first one to buy me running shoes, connect me with the middle school coach. I actually wanted to name his name, but I think
go blank.
I think it's Doug Robinson.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, shout
out
to
Doc.
Yes. Yeah. No, what he was a great man. He made running really fun, especially at that level. It should be fun.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think I feel very the sport, very grateful for the sport, because it really allowed me to really fit in into this community. Coming in at that age, it's not easy. It's easy to be very outcast, but to have us, to really find a community, and I really liked running and I was good at it. Not that I've never wanted to be. I don't think I was thinking about being a runner, but running comes naturally, given that where I'm originated, where I'm from in Eritrea, like we moved around a lot, moved around in a way like we're on our feet all the time. So to come in and start racing, like to race a 3K or things like that, it wasn't something I was like, oh man, this was the longest I've ever ran. I probably ran longer than that when I was back home.
So man, this is easy now.
Yeah, I still I was learning the competition of it, to compete, to go for a time, you learn about those things over time, but at that time it just so I'm very grateful for the sport because it really um, uh, allowed me to fit in to a community, which allowed me to make friends, allowed me to learn the language. I honestly felt like if it wasn't for running, maybe it would have taken a little bit longer to be able to speak, communicate. Not that you can't study this from classes and reading, but to be able to kind of be forced to communicate because the position you're in, a lot of people wants to know who you are. They want to know more about you, so you know you're kind of forced to speak. So which was which I'm why I still some days I like to give back to the sport in that way. Is it through coaching or being part of a I think there is some teams out here in India right now where like I'm talking about like an older generation, but like maybe I might be in a position someday to where I might have a what do you call it, like an
Like an own run
organized
club, like your own
yeah,
run club?
and that's welcome for anybody from the age of 5 to like 65
to the day you can't run.
yeah, to the day you can't run, as long as you can walk, you're welcome. So because really I'm very grateful for that feeling like part of a community, and through running, so those things really that I value, and I hope to give back in that way as well.
No, that's good. So you go into high school, you have probably the best high school career of any Indiana runner ever. So he had 7 state championships, all 4 2 miles from his freshman to senior year. At the time, he had the state record, 847, 849. Yeah. So 847. It was recently broken actually this year. So ironic timing. Noah Bontrager just broke the record.
Noah. Yeah.
Congrats.
Yes, sir.
Congrats to him. But you also had the cross country 5K record for a bit, but you won your sophomore, junior, senior year. The only time you did not win was your freshman year cross country. Can you replay how you got second place?
Man, believe it or not, he might be the only guy I've ever lost, like ever in high school in cross. Drew Shield, shout out to Drew, man. Fisher,
Yes.
He went to Fisher High School. He beat me my first high school race. It was at Barbuff. I think we run like 15:50, but I do remember in that race. So my older brother ran at North Central with me as well, and we both ran for Northern Arizona University as well. So I remember, I think maybe around, believe it or not, I do remember some of those races that I lost, especially those two, that first race and that last race that I lost to Drew Shield. I think around maybe 2.5 or 3K, I made a move, and I had this little gap on the whole field, and I saw that my older brother was kind of falling back, and obviously we went into that race, we wanted to go 1 and 2. Like, I don't think we cared who actually wins the race, and we thought we were capable of doing that. Like, but and this is like we're talking about 209, 208, so. Like, I think I might have heard like how good Drew Shield is, but I don't think I
understood it.
Yeah, I don't think that's the right word for it. So so I hanged back, like, okay, I want to be able to go 1 and 2 with my brother in this race, and he's not really following my move. So I stayed back, and I think we came in through the last 800-meter stretch of that race, all of us together, maybe a pack of 4 or 5. Obviously, Drew Shield he's coming off winning the 800-meter and a mile, so this guy has, he's a miler, he outkicked me in that race. But I really improved throughout that season. I went from 15:50 first race to like 15:02, like my last race. Throughout the season, that freshman year. So was very confident, going to state. And I did beat Drew a couple times during that season as well. I think we were maybe regional and Sama State. I beat him in those two races. Maybe he did. He was probably saving, given he was a senior. He probably knew what he was doing. I don't know, because I don't want to. I think Drew mentally was like he knew what winning state meant. As a freshman,
you're new to everything. You don't even realize the picture of it.
Yeah, so and that really shaped up like for the next like 2 3 years for me. How I approached any races that I was going into. So, but at the state meet, it did. What happened is someone the race started maybe 800-meter or maybe 600-meter into the race. Someone stepped on my shoes, and it was out of my feet, and it was so early in the race that I felt like, okay, I can't run just with one shoes, So I stopped. I got to the side. I stopped. I put my shoes back on, and I probably got back into the race maybe a K and a half or 2 Ks later. So I did sprint through and how in Indiana we only had one 1A class.
Yes.
Like everyone is at that race, and we're talking about maybe 100. Do you think there's
100? Oh, at least
maybe
no.
More.
There's probably 200 guys.
So there was
30 teams, probably 7 guys. So yeah, just over 200 guys,
there
including
you go.
individuals.
So there you've got all these athletes, and I'm making my way back to the front through that whole field. So I'm really sprinting to get to the front. I still did find myself, in the front, racing for the win. And I'm sure, at some point I was going for the win and I'm pushing, but I think it turned out to be just like that first race of that season. It came to me and Drew toward the end, and he outkicked me. He won that race, but I did get second.
So, after you put your shoe on, are you like counting how many guys you're past? I mean, obviously.
I know everyone was ahead of me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you're like, okay, I got because you knew you had to get up there. But you're like, okay, could you see Drew? Like, how long did it take until you got to the front? 3K?
Yeah, I think I got back to that front pack maybe by like 3K, maybe a little bit earlier than that as well. But I'm so young. We're talking about freshman year, so you're not really thinking about like you're just running. You don't have any race plan at that point.
You're young and dumb. Right?
Yeah, and you're just happy to be in the front pack now. I probably even pushed. I probably was like, oh, usually this is where I make my move. So I probably got to the front and start pushing, because my strategy of racing has changed over times. But I do remember when I was a freshman, I was just a front runner, like I just push from the front, and over time I think I was able to develop like my strength, which I feel like I'm more like if it's a 5K race, I would push maybe about 2Ks out.
Okay.
I'm not a sprinter, so. And which I think I developed very well, throughout my high school year. Did it in college. I still do it here, like at this level. Like I'm pushing out at least 2 miles out. You're all out.
That's your go move.
Yeah,
Mine's about 200 meters. That's all I got in me.
Well, yeah, I wish I could do that. Hey, if I could do, and win races, hey, we're all.
We would do that. Well, see, here's the thing. I'm not winning races. I'm just doing that because that's as far as I can hold that quick pace at the end for some. No.
No, yeah, that's So, man, fun. Yeah, fun memories.
Just looking back, and so last thing I'll say, you win Nike once or twice in high school.
No, that was the only time I actually ran Nike.
So you win Nike, and then you got runner up at Foot Locker.
Yes.
Did that open your eyes to anything else different in the sport, or were you? I mean, obviously you knew how good you were already, but
man, I remember when I went to Foot Locker, and I was the only freshman, and I was the highest freshman like for a while. I finished 7th that year, but I do remember like there was some maybe I think it was the pre-meet. If the race was on Saturday, Friday, we were at the park and we're just eating some snacks, whatever. After we did our pre-meet, and I was telling those guys like, man, if there was money in this race, I would win. And I'm sure those guys were like, who was this dumb freshman? Like I do remember that.
Some NIL for freshmen.
In fact, I actually remember the guy who got really mad about that. He probably doesn't. Sometimes like you remember things that happened to you, but someone might not. It was Trevor Dunbar, man, who ended up getting second. This kid from he's from like that place where there's snow all the time. Do you know who Trevor Dunbar is?
I don't, bro. He's a little bit older than me.
Yeah, he ran for Oregon.
Snow all the time. What, Wyoming?
No. You give me, dude. He's
Alaska.
Yeah, that's where he's from. Yeah, I remember he's like and then I raised Trevor throughout college and a little bit at the professional level as well. So huge fan of him. But yeah, so yeah, I mean. But yeah, start following the sport a little bit more. Now you're thinking about I want to compete not only at the state level, but dude, I've got to say like Indiana, maybe even till now. But when I was in high school, we had some of the best cross country runners. Like that year, Drew Schultz was like I think he was 4th, I was 7th, and then. Dalen Sorensen, Zionsville, he was 15. 3 guys from one state, so it was already we were an elite
class.
Yeah, class here in the States. So the competition here was very, very strong. That I can't say I was always thinking about who am I competing at that national level. But wanting to win a national title was I'm sure I've wanted to do that. But I don't think. So I'll tell you a short story too. My senior year in college, till then I wasn't really running fast on the track, and I remember, and that's when we decided. Obviously, we wanted to redshirt for 2 reasons. One, we wanted to come back that following year with more experience. We had like maybe 6, 7, like a big class of freshmen with. Peter Lomang and Jordy Beamish and those guys. I'm sure you know who Jordy Beamish is now. They were coming in, so they were young. We wanted to give them a year experience, but the other thing was actually I really wanted to work on my track as well. Like I was not running fast, and for back then, like I think if I had to do maybe a couple more races, maybe I would have ran. But I did end up running like 13:37, 27:52, which is my PB. But we dedicated that time because we're like, okay, this in this area I want to improve. I don't remember doing that in high school is what I'm trying to tell you for the national meet. We didn't really say like, okay, we actually want to win these races and this is how we're gonna train. Like we're gonna put a big block of summer, we're gonna focus on this and this. This is maybe where you're lacking. Like that wasn't much back then, and I'm actually grateful for that. I mean, it's not always about, I really enjoyed the running. We kept it, fun, with, Coach Rick Stover and Coach Simpson. So, I didn't have pressure. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
Does that make sense? Like we didn't really.
They made it fun for you, and there was so much, fun just of competing that you didn't think of the pressure of competing.
Yes,
it was fun.
And we didn't really. I'm sure now, people probably like it can be at the high school level. Even which is look. I'm all for like goal setting, wanting to accomplish something, breaking 4, winning Foot Locker or Nike. That's all great. I mean, that's fine. But I don't know if if that has any pressure in how the athletes, perform at the college and professional level. Back then it was like, hey, run as little as possible so you can run more in college.
Yeah.
I thought there was that attitude back then.
Yeah.
Maybe it was just with me, but maybe everybody. So I don't know.
Clearly, you were blessed, and hopefully, the majority of these high school coaches realize that they want you to succeed in high school, but they also know there's bigger and better things for you. So I think the high school coach can really make or break that career development standpoint. So thankfully you had that at North Central.
Yes, I did.
Shout out to your high school coaches.
Coach Rick Stover, man, very, very grateful of his guidance and having him as a coach throughout high schools. Like I said, I mean, you know, to sit back here now, you can say, oh, maybe, you know, I could have ran this and won this, but like, um, to be honest, you know, I'm like one of those guys. Still, you know, look, I've got goals, and I haven't really. I feel like I haven't accomplished anything. You know, compared to, you know, mentally, I know what I'm capable of. But I'm probably one of the few guys, you know, from that class, you know, that
Era.
yeah, still, you know, running at this level, still hopeful like of making an Olympic team. So, and you know, all that credit goes to, you know, Coach Rick Stover and Eric Hines and how they carried, you know, my time with them. So yeah.
So the last question I'll ask about high school, and then we'll get into a little bit more. So the Mount Rushmore of Indiana running. You know, there's a lot of great runners that have come before you, after you, during your time. And you can define this however way you want. But while you think, here are the 8 guys that I originally kind of wrote down based off what they did that I thought was very impressive.
Yeah.
I had Cole Hocker, Caleb Winders and Bontrager from this year. And then I had Austin Mudd, who was your age group. And then I also had Rudy Chapa and Mike Fout, who came before you, and also Cole Mathieson. And all those guys had, I believe, a national championship. So that's kind of how I picked that criteria. From there, I think anyone can make a case for any of those 8 guys. I had you. I had Hocker. I went with Bontrager and Winders just because of their recent national championships and what they've done. But again, anyone can make a case for what that. But I'm curious what you thought, and again, it could be any definition the way you want it.
Did Matisse won? He won Foot Locker, right?
Yeah, he won Foot Locker as well. At Colorado right now.
Yeah. I'm actually a big fan of him as well. You know, we're able to connect through Foot Locker his junior year.
Okay.
I think he ended up winning his senior year. So, yeah, you've got some, you know, some big names there. You know, I would say guys like, you know, we supposed to pick 5?
The 5? You can do 4 or 5, however you want to do it. I guess I said 5.
Let's go with 3, man.
Okay, 3. Take the pressure off.
Yeah,
I like it.
I think so. To be honest, you know, it's hard for me between Cole Hocker and Van Beach. So I those guys you just mentioned who just broke the state record. I don't know much about him. So has he won national titles and things like that?
Yeah. So both of them actually did. Winders won the 800 in New Balance last year. He races again next week. He went 146. He also 4P'd in the all 4x8. And then Bontrager, he became the 7th high schooler ever to run sub-4 in the indoor mile. He won the indoor mile at New Balance this year.
All right. So I'll go with the guys that I know.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
but those guys, those are some special time, man. You know, very, very, you know, high talent. So, you know, it's hard for me between Cole Hocker and Ben Beach.
Ben was great.
Ben, because I used to hear about Ben a lot, about, you know, him breaking my records and, you know, throughout friends and families, you know, still following the sport. I don't think he did. So, and I don't know if Ben won Foot Locker.
He didn't win Foot Locker. He made, I think he got 10,
so
15.
we would go with him for Cole Hocker in 3rd, and then Rudy Chapa probably like in 2nd.
Who that's the record that you broke. So that's what you were chasing for so long.
Yeah, man. His mile and 2 mile time was special.
On cinders too.
Yeah, I think it's somebody we've always wanted to beat and chase, you know, for a long time. And then on my 1, we'll probably go Austin Mudd, to be honest. Like, so, and Austin Mudd is like, you can call him like, you know, distance because he actually did the mile. The 800-meter runner you're talking about, did he run the mile as well?
Well, I believe that what made him in that list for me, he set the mile record the same day you set that 2-mile record, and then he came back and set the 800-meter record.
Oh, you're talking about Austin Mudd?
Yeah,
I know Austin Mudd.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about this new kid.
He
New Balance. Is he 800-meter runner only?
Yeah, he 800. He did cross. He got 20th in cross country.
Yeah, I think.
And then 403, 404 in the mile.
Okay.
So he's up there. He's a great runner. Great kid.
Yeah. No, I was just trying to. I think distance. You know, I'm thinking more like a mile, 2 mile, and 5K cross.
For sure.
You know, so then Mudd, the way Austin Mudd was, at the high school level, man, he was a monster.
Mm-hmm.
Huge fan. Hey, man, if I could have his speed, man, like, oh my goodness, Aston Mud, the way he used to close races, and you just think the races, he's definitely not winning this race. And I mean, if he's anywhere close with 50 to 60 meter with 300 meter to go, you're done. He's catching you. So, so he probably got one.
Nice.
And then it would be him, Ruchaba, and Kohaka, and Ben.
Humble guy, not taking himself, by the way.
Yeah.
Humble,
yeah.
very humble.
No,
I like
definitely
that.
not
I
putting
respect
him
that.
down. Yeah, and I'm a huge fan. I mean, Drew Shield as well. Like, I think he had that aura. Like, he had that. He was the man. And I like to. You want to include people that did it at least. If not for 2 years. They were very dominant. For 2 years, and he won the mile and 8. His junior year, I don't know how good he was in cross, but then he came back and won cross his senior year, and he won the mile state, his senior year. So didn't win any national title. So that's why we're gonna put him, 5th or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be.
But it just goes to show you how good of talent Indiana's had before, during your time, and after now. So it's been cool to kind of reminisce on all those names.
Yes.
Why NAU? Because they were always a very well-respected, finishing at the national meet, but they never won. You go there, your 5th year, which was my freshman year at college, you guys win. I know you kind of talked about, redshirting your senior year, you get that freshman class adjusted, but why did you originally pick NAU?
And I'll be honest with you, man. So, leaving Indiana, like from here, I like my first visit was to Oklahoma State. And I actually really liked Oklahoma State. I think I wanted to go to school there, but
David Osborne.
Him, and you've got gosh, I can't. Zach Wills.
Okay.
There's a kid named Zach Wills that's I think he's from Columbus, Ohio.
Okay.
He was a really good athlete at that time. But they've had other guys as well, like Corbel Rasa and German Fernandez and those guys as well. I don't know if they end up winning that year, like my freshman year and in college. But no, my parents said I have to go to NAU because my brother was there.
No way.
Yeah.
I knew your brother went there, and I'm assuming that made like a big decision. But I didn't realize the parents said, "No, we gotta go. We're going to one school, and we're going on the boys."
Yes, and I would say I think Eric Hines, I liked him as a man, but to be honest, him and as a man and a coach as well. But I was so young, I don't think I really cared about. I don't think I knew much about Flagstaff, 7,000 feet, all this. Like I learned that throughout my college years. So when I went there, the team sucked. NAU didn't have anybody. They were saying, oh, we got Diego Estrada, but he wasn't even running cross. That was his last year. He had track season, but yeah, I didn't really. I can't say I chose NAU for this reason.
Yeah, well, that's where it's funny because not to jump sports, but Indiana football, right? They were very irrelevant 2 years ago, and they go to winning the national championship this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you won't say it, but I'll say it for him. You really helped lead the charge of getting probably some of those better talented guys that come through NAU after you and with you. What was it like just going from not being the national champion favorites to starting a powerhouse by your last year?
Well, look, man, I'll say this for myself. One thing I know for facts, I'm not someone who I can say have a big personality and a lot of athletes came because I was there. But one thing where we can acknowledge is that I was available all the time from training perspective. You've got an athlete that's at that elite level to train with all the time. So that's definitely gonna help the culture, help the athletes that are around you, because I was the man. Freshman year I did lose to Brian Schroeder was the man. I think he ended up getting 15th and I was 31st as a freshman. But from there, I was we were neck and neck with Brian Schroeder and those other guys. But my sophomore year I was the man. From there on.
Yeah.
So I think that does build a culture where you've got a man that's you've got a kid or a man at that point showing up to training ready to go at every training. I was, luckily was healthy throughout my college years as well. So, that's always you're always gonna, improve the people around you by having, someone to chase.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I would say that, not from, personality perspective or like, I was outspoken. No,
That's not who you are.
That's not
just
who I
your
am.
personal-
But
yeah.
I've always been available. I've always been, someone you can train with at the level you wanna be at.
Mm-hmm.
So, in fact, I don't think I had enough people to push me.
Yeah, when you come back to Indianapolis and you run with Abiel, myself, a couple other of us guys from IPY. Yeah, we're probably not pushing you either. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah. No. So, no. Yeah. I mean, I think and however we like to we want to tell the story. It all did. It's nice. It all came together. We were fourth, third, I think, second. Throughout the years that I was at NAU, and my last year, won that first national title, and I think that's the hardest one to come.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, you've got some of the best runners in the country. Wanted to be part of that culture, like a culture that's winning.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, shout out to Mike Smith and Jared Cornfield and those guys. Like, did an amazing job just carrying that culture for the next. NAU's a powerhouse.
Yeah.
I don't know how many they've won. Maybe, last count like 7, 8.
I think, yeah. So they three-peated, I think, twice.
Yeah.
So at least 6.
At least 6. So NAU is,
it's the place to be.
Yes,
Give
sir.
those recruits your pitch.
NAU is the place to be. Yes, sir.
So, last thing I'll say about college. I know you just not necessarily just missing Flagstaff, but is there a certain thing that you just miss about being a part of the NAU program?
Yeah. Probably just traveling to meets, to races, and be able to eat whatever the highest priced meal on the menu because you're not paying for it.
And you're like, hey, this tastes even better that way.
Yeah. No, those were, and I think, especially I'll say about my last year at NAU, we really had the crew where some runners, some athletes are they're lucky enough to have that or to experience that from their freshman year, and we had a great team, but honestly we did come together and felt part of like a brotherhood that I'm gonna remember forever, like that my 5th year with those guys. So man, we had the most fun I ever had being part of a team like that 5th year. Maybe part of it is because we were winning, but we had the personality, man. We had the guys. We all had an amazing time. Really, really fun season. So that I remember. I will remember forever too.
So not to make you look like the bad guy when I ask this, but there's one teammate that you could train with right now. Who would that be from NAU?
Oh man.
I'm putting you on the spot there.
Yeah. I would say I think Brian Schroeder would be one of the guys. I think for one, he was. I really liked his very what he's calculated in terms of like how do you run paces.
Calculated with his paces.
Yeah, very very elite. Like, in that way, someone to train with, but from personality, I would probably say Peter Lamont is one of those guys as well.
That's my boy, 800.
Yeah, no, he's I think you might be thinking of his brother.
Who's
his bookish is right there, Lamont. His brother's name is this Lamont?
Oh well. So Peter originally started off with 800 in high school, though, right? Because
I think he probably did, him and his twin brother Alex. But Peter is
because he ended up getting 8th at the national meet the next year.
Yes,
but because he and I talked, the one conversation I had with him, I was like, hey, I know you used to be an 800 runner, but then you got to be doing distance, and he's like, just focus, just get the mileage in, bro. I said, I wish it was as easy as that.
Hey, from knowing Peter, this guy was probably he was probably what do you call it, like just you were probably thinking of his brother is a great 800 meter runner. He's an older brother, so but Peter, if you mistake him for his brother, he'll still take that. He's not gonna correct you.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But no, he's he was. I think he was a great personality to me. Really, I think it was fun the fact that I was better than him too, and he's so talented. The way he's built, and just he wanted to be better than me.
Yeah.
But luckily at that time I was better. So that was fun. Like I can actually talk shit to him.
Yes.
I can be like, nah, man, you'll never be better than me.
Slow ass, no slow.
Yeah, and he did. I think the fact he accepted me as a big brother. Someone he looks up to, but at the same time someone he wanted to compete with. So that was just really fun. Relationship there.
I like that. So, professional career. It's been, I think, how would you describe it? Roller coaster emotions, highs and lows. You've won 3 meets. You won the 2019 10 mile for the USATF, and then 2022, 2025, you won the USTAF marathons. So you've had some very impressive wins under your belt. You go with Hoka as elite right out of college. Did you leave them, then come back? I know you were with them. How was that experience? And now you're with Solomon right now. So.
Yeah, honestly, man, I don't know how to. Obviously, we can describe it as a roller coaster, given that there was some high performance, and then there was not consistent, especially when you look at the history of hey, Fustum as an athlete, through high school and college. I think something that I've always been proud of, was being consistent. That can be training and racing, but at the professional level, maybe, that hasn't been the case, which, we're changing that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think, I'm not sure why that, I'm still just trying to learn about, how to do it at that elite level, in a way, perform at that elite level, every race, or just be very smart, how I choose my season and things like that. But part of it can be just changing teams as well. Like you mentioned, we mentioned earlier that I joined NAZ right out of college. Doing really quite worked. From I think it was more from I was training well, but that wasn't really translating to racing, and I didn't know why. I didn't know how to take that. So I left. I left at the end of 2018. And 2019, I was just training solo, and that's when things will start coming together. And toward the end of that year is when I won the 10 mile. Ran really well the Houston half in 2020, but COVID happened. And when you're an athlete, who doesn't have that support, that's one thing we've got to shout out to as well as support in the community, support, especially for me throughout my years. I mentioned how I started running and felt like part of that community. This is just the support. But support comes in many ways, and at that elite level, you need financial support, a coach or a team. So just leaving NAZ in 2018 and 2020, just being in a position where I don't really have any of those. So you're at that point yourself.
Yeah.
I was didn't have a coach or a team to train with. I got a job at a golf course, just kind of
just making a couple extra bucks.
Yeah, that, and what else am I gonna do?
Yeah.
There wasn't a races that I was trying to prepare for, which led to gaining some weight, and slowly, toward the end of 2020, start getting back to training. 2021 was nice. Is actually when that support did come through. James McCurdy, the McCurdy Train. I don't know if you ever heard them. They're a big online online coaching as well. Joined James at the beginning of 2021 and had really good um, training and racing. At the end of 2021 is when I actually ran my PB 61:20. 2022 just felt like man, being at this age just wasn't quite hitting the time where you want to be able to hit, especially at this level. If you're not running like 60 flat or like 205, 206, it's really hard uh, to have that individual sponsorship. So I like that wasn't available. Like you just gotta be up there. And that wasn't viewed, by a lot of company, what I was. So I started that conversation with NAZ Elite as well. Again, and I was like, hey, you guys have a great team. They've had, they just recruited, I think, Wesley Kiptu, Alex Masai, Adrian, and those guys. And I felt like they had the team, for me to really take me to that next level. So I joined NAZ toward the end of 2022. Then did my first marathon, won the CIM US champ, and things was going really well in 2023. Ran 209 at Rotterdam. Was top 10 at New York. But I think that year was like perfect year for me as I was preparing for the Olympic trial. I was probably in the best shape of my life, honestly. I think if not top three, I felt like I was top five, especially the way I ran my first marathon with I think it was 14:30 something, closing that last 5K. The last 10K was special, being my first marathon, 2:11, and then 2:09 at Rotterdam. Still felt like there was a little bit more work to do for me to get it right, and that was only my second marathon. Top 10 in New York. Some of those guys I competed with, or the pack that I was in, to almost 37Ks, they were 206, 205 guys. So very confident going into trials. And there was some sickness going on around that year, and I know it's hard, as an athlete or as a professional or anyone else from outside, is hey, if this is your job, this is what you do, you're expected to perform. So saying oh, this doesn't really doesn't cut it. You just gotta show up. So, and that's how I view it. I just didn't show up, but I did get sick. I got sick, and I still try to you get locked into this where the way training should be, and there were some big workouts that for me to hit to be able to feel that's what it's gonna take, those workouts for me to be able to race at the level that I want to race. So, but I just wasn't smart. If you're not healthy and you try to do this, you're just gonna make it worse. So till 2 weeks out, I was not 100% at all. It was a rough 1 month, and it happened about 6 weeks out or a month out. Those time where I can really hit some really big workouts. Yeah. So that happened, and surprisingly, actually, I thought I ran well at the track, given how where I was mentally and physically.
Yeah, no, because you 14th at the marathon.
Yeah, 14th. Not.
But you were in that front pack for a long time, if I recall correctly, right?
Second pack, but the guys that pack that I was in, some of them ended up getting 6 and 7. That's what I'm saying. I was with Reed, who I actually admire as an athlete. He's very spot on in how he raced. He's either holding the pace toward the end or he's running faster. And I was in his pack, and I think he ended up getting 8th or something like that. There was other guys that ended up getting 6th or something. So imagine if it was just some of the other experience I had with my marathons, and I'm closing hard toward the end. I'm in that top 5. I'm in that. So or maybe I would have one with that first pack. And that doesn't cut it. Being 14th at the trials, being 30, I don't know, I was 32 maybe, I don't know. From Hoka perspective, that's not quite good.
Yeah.
You want to be I mean, at least that's what we were told. So then my contract ended in 2024. So no, but to say all that, man, there's still people in company, or outside of, I don't know, running being a lifestyle, something that I enjoy. Those are the people why I still want to go out there and really bring the best out of myself.
Mm-hmm.
Is like company like Solomon, or Camila, who was the like my boss, or like
Mm-hmm.
the main person that reach out to elite athletes who she wants to be part of, part of the company, or
Yeah.
who she thinks is best to represent the company. She's on a leave right now because she's just had a baby, but nothing more. So can't wait for her to you know back at the work.
Yeah.
So, but I think if there was anybody that I can be grateful for, is her. She gave me the opportunity, or that financial support, or the company to be like, hey, I want to represent this. I want to put the time, the sweat for this. Is her, to be able to get that second chance, not even second, just a chance to be like, man, I'm not done yet. When other company says, you're done, or whoever works for the company feels like you're done, and there's someone else that says, no, you're not. I still believe in you, believe your hard work, who you are as an athlete. So we're gonna continue to support you. So, and she did that, and for that I like, man, I'm training. Obviously, as you want to be smart with your training, given that now, yeah, like you've got all the research to be really smart out there. So I'm doing everything I can to be
Best Futsum.
Yeah, and I don't feel like I'm like, dude, 60 flat, half marathon, like 205 is like possible even this year. And that's the type of work I'm putting in, and I think as I accomplish those goals, like I think, those also would be a way to say like, man, thank you for giving me this opportunity, like for believing in me. So yeah, I don't know how to close this conversation, but I think,
Well,
I'm just grateful for that.
So what's funny is, I don't know if I explained this. The name of the podcast is The Sporting Cast, and it's supposed to be about who supported you. So you really answered that question along the podcast, man. You got the bulk of the big question at the end.
Look, the running community supported me, early on in my running career, in that middle school, high school years, and then you've got, all my coaches through my high school that I named, with Rick Stover and Coach Simpson. And then throughout college, you got Eric Hines and those guys, and now you've got you've got company like Solomon supported me, and outside of, obviously, my family, my wife and my kids. So yeah.
So a couple more questions before we wrap up. What was your most memorable college race? Was it winning the national meet, or was it something else?
I mean, that has to be up there. But even, I think, running 27:52 at that point, like, it was good. I think that the top guys were maybe running like 27:40, 27:30. I mean, you guys have got like Sam Chilanga running 27:10. Like, but it's just Sam and then the rest of the field, So I think at that point it was viewed as a really good time. So to feel like, I've never felt like a track and athlete. So for me to perform and do that, it was big moment as well. Maybe not as big as, winning that national title as a team was.
What's your boldest running take? Something, whether it has to do with training, nutrition, a watch. Is there anything that like you stand by that maybe other people don't agree with you on? One that was interesting that you said earlier is, man, I wish I had the spike shoes since I was in middle school, high school.
Oh, so something that I'm for?
Just something that you're for, very passionate about, either one.
I'll probably say is the nutrition. I don't know. Does that make sense? In a way, like, where I would say, like, man, go go all in. Like even it can be a small workout, which I'm doing right now. Like so, maybe I can I can shout out the morning. Maybe I can get a spot there. I don't know, but like I'm all that, man. I'm like I don't care how small the workout is. Like I'm doing at least the minimum amount with even a small workout. Like I'm getting all my bicarbs, not bicarb, but just the carbs.
Yeah.
Not bicarb. Yeah, that's. Hey, maybe
Got
I'm
good
doing the
protein.
same. Yeah, no, the bicarbs. I think is that one is the like for like 1 mile, 3K type of race. So maybe I'll take that for this 10K.
Yeah, I like that.
So, but like I would say, man, like go all in and learn about that. Like I think that's a huge part of like the plus the shoes as well. So yeah.
Any local Indianapolis people, anytime you need a sponsor, for recovery, hit up my boy here on Instagram. We can always use another sponsorship for him. So
Yes, sir, man. Yes, sir.
No, Futsum, as we wrap up, I guess thanks for all that you've done from the running community, not only in the state of Indiana, but just across the country. Being the supporting cast, is there anybody else that you want to, shout out? I know you've done a great job of already doing that with your coaches, your family, your teammates.
Yeah, I'm obviously my agent, Howie.
Yeah.
Howie Management. He's been there for me. I know, throughout this conversation, maybe didn't really find a point to mention that, but Howie's been there since the beginning, since 2016. Obviously know Howie since 2011, I think, when I attended his wedding, because he was married to a lady from here, from Indiana.
Oh,
so
cool.
Half of the wedding was here in Indiana. So I did attend that wedding. So if you don't remember the date, let me know. I know I was part of this.
He was there, witness.
Yeah, I was there to witness. But no, Howie's man, he's a great man, great agent, and great friend to have on my side. So I'm very grateful for him. But I mean, if I was to say, that one person, has been there, from the beginning till now and continues, obviously, is my wife. So I definitely have to give her a shout out, especially now. I mean, she's really picking things up, even hopping on the bike and doing a lot of pacing now that I'm in Indy and I don't have still haven't met up. I mean, I like, hopefully, we have some, runners that I can continue to I've been away from here for a long time, so I don't really know who's in town, but I like to meet with some runners, maybe meet up for a workout and things like that.
We can get that going.
Yeah, let's do that, man. But yeah, she's been great, man. She's been on the bike and learning how to pace and how to support. She has supported me in many other ways, and that's something she's actually happily doing that right now. So yeah, very grateful for her.
Futsum, thank you very much. Appreciate all you do. Good luck not only in Boston this year. We'll see you back out there. I'm going to have to really start cutting some weight to keep up with you on some runs, but
sounds good to me, man. Appreciate it.
So, keep doing your thing. Thanks for representing our state and our country, and look forward to not only what you're doing this year, but 2028.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Like and subscribe for all you runner fans. Thank you.